Hello everyone, my name is Chef Jasjit and I welcome you all to my vegan plant-based recipes cooking workshop that we are going to be doing today on 3 delicious Indian recipes. Before I start, I would also like to say my thank you to Saffron Hub to give me this opportunity to be with you today. So first recipe that we are going to make today actually is going to be on chickpeas. Punjabi chole, that is the name of my recipe. Now chole is meaning chickpeas. This recipe has been my favorite, and I can say it's actually favorite of every Punjabi household. And while growing up, I remember, Sundays were the days when we knew that chickpeas are going to be made today. So we were all ready to enjoy chana masala with rice, or we can have it with puri, we can have it with naan. Any options were there, but every Sunday was this my favorite meal that I used to look forward to. Now, chickpeas is great plant-based protein that you can incorporate in your diets. I plan actually using beans and legumes every week. I do like 3 to 4. Like I can do lentils, I can do chickpeas, I can do kidney beans, and I always boil extra, which you can see here. These are the extra chickpeas that I boiled, and then what we are going to be using for the curry are these chickpeas over here. So I leave this in my fridge, and moment I decide that next day I would like to make a salad out of it, I can make a salad. I can add it to my quinoa, I can add it to the rice. So there are possibilities are endless when you come on making the recipe with chickpea, and also the pleasant texture and mild flavor make them a versatile ingredient to work with. So let's not talk. I can keep talking, but I would like to start now with this recipe here. So as I boiled the chickpeas, now the best way for these chickpeas actually is to soak them overnight and then next day boil it. Either you can boil in pressure cooker, or you can actually boil it even in the pot as well. It just takes a little longer, and that's all. But right now I'm just adding coconut oil that I've melted a little bit before starting my segment. So we will start adding our coconut oil. Traditionally also people use ghee in this, but because I'm doing my vegan plant-based recipe, so I am just using coconut oil in my recipes. So once we add oil, we would go with a little bit of spice in it, and that is, to start off, I'm going to add cumin seeds to this. Whatever spice we add first is the flavor you're gonna get, and in my chickpeas it's going to be the first flavor of cumin that you will find when you taste it. So once we add that, then we will go with garlic and ginger paste. Now I just made this fresh garlic ginger paste. Again, some prep work has to be done always before, because these recipes are not tedious, but as long as all the prep work is done for you, you will make this in no time. So once we add garlic and ginger, again that will be the flavor you are going to get first, along with the cumin seeds. And this is onion tadka, which is caramelized onion. So I did this step ahead of time, but if you haven't done this, that's no problem. You can still use chopped onion and just give them a nice caramelized flavor, and then proceed with the recipe. So once I add this, I would also like to mention, when you are soaking your chickpeas overnight and next day you're going to be doing the boiling process, when you're boiling chickpeas, you can add a tea bag in it as well. Now what tea bag is going to do, because we are making Punjabi chole, which is more like a nice thick gravy chickpeas, it also has a very nice blackish color to it as well. It's not like a regular onion tomato sauce flavor, but curry, it is actually going to be where you can actually have a nice blackish color, and blackish color will come from my tea bag. And then also I am also using pomegranate powder, which is also known as anardana. So that is something that's going to go as well. So once, because this is already done, my onions are caramelized, so I'm just going to add tomatoes. Now tomatoes is optional. If you sometimes just want to make without tomatoes, go ahead, just make it with onions, garlic, ginger, and next time add tomatoes. So this gives you a different way of cooking each time you are trying to make chana masala, Punjabi chole, anything you like. So now I am going to add my rest of the spices, which are turmeric, red chili powder, garam masala, and coriander powder, and some salt to this. Now after adding this, I'm just going to lower the heat because I don't want my onions and spices to burn. But now the magic is going to be created in the pan, because it's the magic of onions and spices that is going into our chickpea masala that we are going to make. So at this point, I'm going, because it's all really, if I see here, oil separation is starting to happen in the pan. You can see those bubbles. That means I can add my chickpeas to it. Now also remember to use the same water that you boiled your chickpeas in. That is very, very important, because the flavor is in that water as well, that where the chickpeas were boiled. So once we add chickpeas to this, and another trick, so there's lots of tricks actually in this recipe. As long as you can remember them, make sure you make a note of it before you start the recipe, so it's easy for you to remember what I was talking about. So at this point, I'm going to add pomegranate powder, also known as anardana, as I mentioned, and I added the regular salt. Also I am adding a little bit of Himalayan salt, rock salt as well, because that also gives a very nice flavor to chickpeas, and a little bit of fresh cilantro just for the heat. If you like spicy, you can add green chilies. I'm just adding a slit of green chili, but you can chop it up and add it, but slit will help to give you the flavor in the chickpeas. And then also you can discard it if you don't want it later. You can always discard. The very important thing that I need to tell you is, you would go with the masher and just mash potatoes, chickpeas in it. Actually, I said potatoes because potatoes, some people like to add potatoes to chickpeas as well. I just like the flavor of chickpeas, so I'm not adding, but this is how you will do. You don't want to mash everything, just a little bit of it, so that gives a very nice thick gravy to the chickpeas. And this is it. Once this is done, you want to simmer this for some time until your chickpeas are ready, and we will be just now talking here. I'm going to show you actually the finished product that I have here. So you can see these are the chickpeas that I just finished before coming on to my workshop, so that we can have, this will take about 10 to 15 minutes, but you can see nice and thick chickpeas that is ready now. And then also I'm going to add juliennes of ginger, fresh ginger, little bit of green chili in it, and also some cilantro that goes in, and it is ready. So this is my Punjabi chole recipe. I hope you will like it and you will try this out. You can serve this with rice, you can serve it with naan, and this is the best recipe, I tell you. So make sure you try it. Okay, so now our next dish is actually inspired from Indian dish paneer bhurji. So we are not using paneer, but we are going to be using tofu instead of paneer in this dish. And trust me, this dish is also one of the amazing dishes that I've been making for so long. And it's not just for the Indian way of having it with naan bread, but I actually make this dish and I would do use a wrap and put this in there, and that becomes a really nice lunch dish for me. Or you can give it to even kids for snacks or picnics. It just makes an amazing, wonderful dish for that. Tofu again is a good substitute, and again we are using vegan plant-based recipes. So tofu is very versatile. You can use in smoothies, you can use in making curries, and this is extra from tofu that I'm using today for my tofu scramble. You can also call this recipe as tofu scramble, or you can call just the Indian name tofu bhurji as well. So we are going to start this dish. So in my pan, I'm just adding, I added a little bit of coconut oil already, and I'm just going to add a little bit more. And again, very simple, basic dish, just the way we would use all the spices in our Indian food that we prepare. So I'm just going to use the same way, same technique, but just now we will be using chopped onions in this. And when you're doing this onions, for this recipe, we don't need to caramelize onions. So this is going to be just a quick color change of onions, and we start to add our next ingredient to it. It's very important as a chef, as a cook, or even when you're doing the home cooking and you're making these Indian dishes, trying it even for the first time, make sure you know when to add which, what place is each ingredient going to go, because we are not just going to add everything at the same time. We have to always kind of give it a time, let the flavor set in, and then add the second. So it's very important to know what stage the food goes in. So once we add our onions, I'm also going to add a little bit of cumin seeds now in there. And whenever you're cooking onions, this is another trick. You can always add some salt to it, because that will make the onions swell pretty quicker than the regular time. So that's just another trick that I use almost every day when I'm cooking with onions. So once we add this, at this point, it smells really good, I must tell you that. So I'm adding 2 green chilies. Again, I use the split green chili, so in case I don't want anyone to eat this chili, I will just remove it before giving, or I will give them enough notice that there is actually green chili in it, the whole green chili, so eat at your own risk. Make sure you give that disclaimer to them. So at this point, I'm going to add some cilantro as well, fresh cilantro. I just love using it, so I'm always adding along with the onions. And then garlic and ginger paste goes in. And as I said, you don't need to really caramelize. As long as I can start to see onions are now almost, they've changed the color, it's the right time to add tomatoes to this. So I'm just going to add fresh tomatoes. Whenever I'm making dry vegetables, not the curry, but the dry ones like cauliflower, potato, or you can say okra, all these vegetables, whenever I'm cooking, I always use fresh tomatoes. And for tofu scramble as well, fresh tomatoes work best when it comes to the flavor and the tasting of the dish. So along with my onions, tomatoes, garlic, ginger, I'm also using pepper, red pepper. Now whichever color pepper you have, you can use. If you have yellow, that's fine. If you have green, that works as well. Again, because cooking is all about fun. Cooking is all about experimenting. So make sure just keep experimenting, and you don't have to worry if one ingredient is missing. As long as you're adding love to your food, I bet you your food is always going to taste amazing. At this point, once we add our onions, tomatoes, peppers, all our basic stuff is in there, and now is the time to add your spices. So red chili powder, again these are the basic Indian spices. Also people call them curry powder as well. You know, curry powder is made out of these spices. So basically I use this 7-8 spices every day, but if you really want to name curry powder, this is what curry powder actually is. So this is my coriander powder that I'm adding. Salt I already added, so I don't need to add too much of salt in there. And turmeric is your spice that's going to give a nice color to tofu. So we are going to add that, and then I like to add a little bit of pepper. It's optional. If you don't want to add pepper, you don't have to. And moment you add spices, let's add our tofu to this. Now because I made enough onions and tomatoes masala that only this much tofu I would like to add. I don't want to add more tofu to this. So just see the change of color now. It's going to start to happen. I'm just going to lower my heat for this. And you can start to see here tofu. Now tofu has no taste of its own. So when you you add all these spices and the flavors, tofu will take on that flavor. So also another tip for you, when you're making these chickpea masala, Punjabi chole that I just did in my first recipe, and tofu, you can always make this ahead of time. Make maybe in the morning or a day ahead. This will give time for the spices, for the flavors to set in, so it will be tasting delicious. So try to do that. That's a tip and trick of what we have been doing the cooking for so long. And on the top I like to garnish also with some coconut oil, more coconut oil, so just a nice shine comes as well. And this is how your tofu dish is going to look when it's completed. So at this point, there is no moisture required, no water required. If you really want to give a different flavor someday, and you have been making this for so long, just try to add coconut cream to this as well. So that will give it a really nice flavor to it, as well as the softness to tofu will come from coconut cream. But I just like it nice and simple, plain tofu like this. And all I can do now is just take a wrap, put it in my wrap and make a snack out of it. Or I can actually serve this with Indian chapati, with the roti, with the whole wheat roti. So again, you can just serve it the way you like, or even if nothing else, you have nothing to serve with it, just eat. You will love this just on the plate itself. And that's what I do some days when I feel like. And then also in the bread. So if you want to have this as a morning option for the breakfast, you can actually make a panini sandwich out of this as well. But this is how your finished tofu dish is going to look like. And the nice color that you're seeing there is coming from turmeric. I hope you will enjoy this recipe as much as I do making. I love making this, and I am pretty sure you will try this out. And make sure you try it out. Okay, so now it's time for our third recipe of the day. And the best recipe I could think actually for the plant-based vegan option was my favorite, that I have been using this in my kitchen for so long. And even my grandma and my mother used to make pickle out of this. And I'm not too sure if you have ever seen this, but this is actually Indian gooseberry. So the name for it is also amla. Again, it's full of vitamin C. It's full of antioxidants, nutrients. It helps to boost immunity as well. And I can use it in the pickle, which I'm going to show you a quick pickle recipe, which I do every week or second week when I'm almost done with them. I usually would buy 10 of these, and sometimes I would actually boil and freeze it, and then as I need, I would keep using it from my freezer. Otherwise, I would just make a pickle out of it. Now this is also available in powder form as well, so you can always bring that powder and use it in your smoothies, because as I said, this is full of nutrients, and vitamin C is the most you get out of these amlas. Amla is the Indian name, so it's spelled like AMLA, or as I said, it's Indian gooseberry. Also, there is actually, what you need to remember in this is also that there is actually a pit inside that you would discard, or you would not bite into it. So make sure don't bite into it, in case if it's still hard when you're doing the pickle part. It takes about 2 to 3 days for it to kind of get softer. So still eat it, even the whole, but just make sure don't have the pit from inside. The pit, you can see the nice color here, it's the thick hard part, so don't eat that. And how I start this recipe actually is that I would boil the amlas. I'll wash them and I'll boil it in water after, like, for just about 5 minutes or so, and then I would actually just not have the water. I'll discard the water, let this dry a little bit, and leave them. After that part, what I'm going to show you, so these amlas are already boiled, so now we are going to pickle them. So pickling is very easy, very simple. There is, just as long as you have all these spices, and in case even if you miss 1 or 2 spices, it's not a big deal. That's okay. You can still go ahead and make the pickle with what you have in your pantry, in your spices. So what I'm seeing here is, I will show you one by one before I start adding it to the pan. It is actually mustard seeds. So these are the mustard seeds that are going in the amla pickle. And pickle, we also do say achar, so that is just the normal way of saying Indian pickle, and then you can say achar as the Indian name. These are nigella seeds that I'm adding in there. Fennel, you can see here. I have fenugreek seeds. Fenugreek also comes in powder form, and again, this is very good for diabetics. It helps to lower the blood sugars as much as even the amla does that part too, but this spice helps for that. And I actually would some days just use my sprouter, and I would just sprout these and then use it as a salad. Also in here is going to be carom seeds. Also the Indian name for carom seeds is ajwain, and ajwain plays a very significant role whenever you're making pickles, because with ajwain it helps in digestion as well. So that is why this spice is very, very important key spice. And then also we will be adding some Himalayan salt to this as well. There are some other spices that goes in, which will be red chili powder, turmeric, and coriander powder that I'm going to be adding from my spice box. So let's start, and I'll show you how easy this recipe is going to come together. Now, since it is such an important part of our diets for having vitamin C, I also add this to my lentils. Whenever I'm making even the chickpea dish that I made, Punjabi chole today, I would boil this amla along with the chickpeas. If I'm making lentils, any kind of lentils, I just put this in there. Although the natural form of amla actually would taste like something sour, bitter, astringent, those are your 3 basic natural forms of the flavors that amla pickle would have. So I'm just starting here with oil. Traditional way of Indian pickles, whenever we are doing achars, we would use mustard oil, but because I'm doing my vegan plant-based, I'm just using coconut oil in this. So moment I add oil, at this point we can start adding all our spices to it. So the spices goes in first, and then we add the amlas in there. So first of all, mustard seeds goes in, and then I would add carom seeds. There is no special format for this. Basically, whatever your heart desires, you can go in that. Only mustard seed is what you would add first, and rest of the spices can go in any order you like. So then my fenugreek goes in, also salt, and now I would add turmeric. Again, turmeric is antiseptic, anti-cancerous, so it's really good spice to be used every day. I have also done recipe on, sorry, this is coriander powder, and then I added a little bit of red chili powder as well. So just mix this. I was just saying about the turmeric. Turmeric, I have made golden milk recipe in one of my shows. Make sure you check that out. And it's really good to have it in milk if you can, turmeric. And then it goes in almost every recipe that we do, the Indian recipes. Turmeric plays an important role. So once I add, just see how these looks. Now they're going to open up itself when they cook more. They're going to open up, but I like to leave them whole because I feel they are so beautiful. I just love even looking at them, and yes, I have to eat it to get my vitamin C, but I just love to leave them whole like this. And then also nigella seeds that I just wanted to add a little later because I don't want it to cook with the other spices. And this is it. I'm going to turn off the heat because now you can see it's just going to get really, you'll know the flavors of spices. You leave this, you can pickle and then leave it in this jar, right? That's what I'm gonna do. I'll put it in the jar. If I see some sunlight outside, I would leave this jar outside for like 2 days, 3 days for it to mature. Otherwise, you don't need to even do that step. Just leave it in the fridge and it's just gonna get softer as it sits. And keep enjoying one amla a day. That is what I do at home, and I would encourage plant-based vegan diets that you have. Make sure that you add this because this is actually for better heart health. It lowers the blood sugar. It has anti-aging properties in it. It helps to protect you from the liver damage. So basically lots and lots of good options that you have there just to enjoy. No, there is just going to be no excuse. It's just that it is good for health and we need to add this to our diet. So I hope you will prepare this pickle. Very simple, easy recipe at home, and try it out. Make sure you can let me know once you try. Send me your comments and then I will know for sure this is working for you. So enjoy. This is the amla pickle, and I'll see you again. So here we are now. We are at the end of our workshop, and today we prepared 3 dishes. One is the chickpeas, chana masala, Punjabi chole, and then we made tofu scrambled, also you can say tofu purji, and we made gooseberry pickle, amla pickle. And to serve all this, I have some rice prepared, so you can serve it with rice. I hope you enjoyed my workshop today and being here with me. I love being with you guys, and I hope you will try these recipes in your kitchen. I also would like to take an opportunity to say thank you to Saffron Hub, who gave me this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you so much.